successor High Court from the judgment. It gives the state enough flexibility to develop their power sector in their manner they consider appropriate.
The bill puts more power in the hands of central government, effectively diluting the powers of the state government. This goes.
ये लोग सिर्फ पॉलिटिक्स कर रहे हैं। अब विरोध करने का जो पॉइंट उठाया है उससे दो ही तीन बातें स्पष्ट होती है। या तो वो बिल पढ़ करके नहीं आए थे, या पढ़े थे तो समझे नहीं थे, या पढ़ करके समझ करके भी वो गलत बयानी कर रहे थे।
The Electricity Amendment Bill 2022 faced a lot of heat from opposition parties who alleged that it ignores the role of states and give more power into the hands of the center, and therefore violates federal principles as electricity is a concurrent list subject. In the past, farmers have also burnt copies of it, stating that it puts a threat on the subsidies they receive.
था कि हाँ साहब, किसान से संबंधित इस बिल में कहीं कोई प्रावधान नहीं है।
So to understand all of this drama, let us first understand the underlying issue. We consume electricity. Factories need it, farmers need it, everybody needs it. And 60% of India's energy needs are met by fossil fuels. So there must be a mechanism by which coal sitting in a coal mine gets extracted, gets converted into electricity, and then distributed to wherever it is needed. The extraction part is primarily done by the Coal India Limited, which is a state undertaking. The companies who buy this coal to generate electricity are called generation companies, or GenCos in short. Then this electricity gets distributed to its end-use place by companies known as distribution companies, or DISCOMs in short. So this is how electricity is produced and it reaches our homes. Now, to understand the problem of the power sector, you need to understand the shareholding pattern of each stage. I have already told you that the Coal India is a state undertaking. As for the GenCos, half of India's power generation capacity is run by the private sector. A few prominent examples are NTPC and the Adani Group. And as per a report by Niti Aayog, 90% of the DISCOMs are state-run. So, what is exactly wrong with this chain? So, as the report by Niti Aayog reads, however, the distribution sector has been the Achilles heel of the power sector, consistently making large losses. ... We will not be able to achieve a high-growth, low-carbon economy unless the distribution sector achieves profitability. So it's clear that the pain lies at the DISCOM stage. Let's understand why. You see, politics and the power sector are closely related. Politicians have sole purpose in their life, that is to get in power and stay in power. And how do you win elections?
चुनाव आने वाले हैं। मैं आपसे पूछना चाहता हूँ, फ्री बिजली चाहिए नहीं चाहिए? क्यों नहीं चाहिए भाई? फ्री बिजली अगर मिल सकती है तो मिलनी चाहिए, क्यों नहीं चाहिए?
Wait, before bashing the AAP government on Twitter, let me tell you, when I was researching for this video, I was surprised to find out that Delhi is not even on the top 5 states which owe the most to DISCOMs. It turns out that it isn't the power sector in Delhi or Punjab that accounts for the biggest financial mess in the country. It is the ones in Tamil Nadu and Maharashtra who owe the most to DISCOMs. States that are known to be amongst India's more industrialized, developed, and progressive. Keeping that aside, the reason for the losses and the dues boils down to one thing. States don't pay for what they owe. Forget about paying for subsidies or freebies. They don't even pay their own electricity bills. And what's even more hilarious is the fact that as a DISCOM, you cannot even cut their line, as those government offices come under essential services. Freebies result into delayed disbursement of payments to DISCOMs, which in turn halts the payment to GenCos. And then you get my point, right? the entire payment mechanism of the chain gets disrupted. Now, electricity is a concurrent list subject, and states are constitutionally empowered to decide for themselves. If a political party wants to provide free or highly subsidized electricity to the low-income group, it may do so. But it should not be at the cost of A. increased burden on taxpayers, or B. late payments to discoms, that is the retailers. But what do they actually do? They play with taxes, they delay payments, they take absurdly long-term contracts of payments with the discoms, or in some cases, boldly default. The top 5 power defaulter states include UP, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Haryana, and Tamil Nadu. So to sum things up, the power sector faces deep-rooted issues such as mounting debt of the discoms, high technical and commercial losses (AT&C), inefficiency in payment recovery in the ecosystem, coal production and supply constraints that we all know about, and lastly, but the most important, lack of states' political will to change things for the better. Which brings us to how the Electricity Amendment Bill 2022 aims to solve this. This bill takes a lot of insights from the Niti Aayog, which was released in August 2021. As the report says, higher private participation in distribution holds out the possibility of greater efficiency. In Delhi, after power distribution was taken over by 3 private licenses, the aggregate technical and commercial losses (AT&C) have come down from about 55% in 2002 to about 9% in 2019. Talking about AT&C, it is a combination of energy loss, like technical loss, inefficiency in billing, theft, etc. The latest figure of AT&C losses in India is at 16%. Meanwhile, in the developed nations, this figure hovers around 5 to 8% range. So, how this bill will help? More than one power distributor can operate in an area, and they will be allowed to use the power distribution infrastructure of other suppliers. This is aimed at giving more choices to the consumers. So in plain English, what this simply means is open access of electricity, ending state monopoly. This will allow customers to choose from a pool of distributors regardless of who controls the physical infrastructure in their district or state. But as soon as there are 2 distributors in one area, there will be price wars, right? We saw this with Ola versus Uber, Zomato versus Swiggy. So to fix this, the regulators are to set a minimum tariff ceiling to discourage unhealthy pricing wars among distributors, and a maximum ceiling to ensure that the consumers are protected. This is pretty much about the bill. Now, there are some valid concerns as well regarding this bill. We all saw what happened in the telecom space. BSNL was neither shut nor it was sold. It was brought to its knees so that it may never rise again. This might as well happen with the power sector too. State-run discoms would eventually be eliminated by the market itself, leaving us with just the private players. But there are a lot of assumptions and premises with this. Because in the Genco space, we have seen that private and government players can coexist and work together in harmony. So what I feel is that this bill will become a success if the public-private partnership model, PPP model, is well executed. ऐसा होगा या नहीं, how much will consumers will be benefited? Time will tell. But the discoms running huge losses and states do not paying for what they owe is simply not the way forward, especially at a time when we are transitioning to a green economy.